Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us today at our event. Today we're going through powering the hospitality industry recovery with DEPM. Thanks for coming along. My name is Leon Burke. I'm a director here at Aquam Consulting. So yes, thanks for coming along. Yeah, I hope you enjoy today's presentation. We tend to do one of these every quarter. Feel free to look at our website. We record all the sessions that we do. We post them up there, and keep tuned on LinkedIn for future ones that we have coming up in the next little while. So what I'll do, I'll start our presentation now and get the slide deck up. Okay, I hope you can all see my slide deck in slideshow mode. Again, thank you for coming along today to our event. We hope you get something out of it. We definitely think you will. Today, I'm presenting from the Aquam office down here in Docklands on the water, or near the water here in Melbourne. The office is located on the lands of the Wurundjeri First Nations people. The Wurundjeri have lived here for over 40,000 years. I want to thank the First Nations people for their care of the land, the waters, the animals, where I work and live. I pay tribute to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Today's session is all about DEPM in hospitality. We have three speakers today. Chris Gribble, who will be going through the use case for DEPM. He'll talk through some business aspects that are solved with DEPM in hospitality. Chris has got over 20 years experience putting in technology solutions into hospitality. I think you'll really like his presentation today. He'll hand over to Mark Vincent. Mark is a solutions consultant at Infor. Mark is based in Dubai. Mark, thanks heaps for getting up early today. We appreciate that. That's really good of you. Now, what Mark will be doing is he'll be covering reporting in hospitality. Then what we'll do is we'll hand over to David Wilcox. Dave's a DEPM specialist. He's also our services director here at Aquam. Dave will be taking you through some forecasting and some driver-based budgeting using our DEPM solution that we've built up here in Aquam. Then what we'll do is we'll finish up with some questions, wrap up then at about 11:45, and let you get on with your day. And then we have our three presenters. Before I get started, what we'll do is we'll leave the chat open. We'll shut down the lines. Pop your questions in chat if you want to. Once Dave's finished speaking, we'll go and open up the lines and ask some questions of the panel. So Chris, without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, please.
Okay, good morning and welcome everybody. Thank you very much for taking the time to spend it with us for the next 45 minutes, where hopefully we'll be able to, let's say, show you something of the future of what we're looking to achieve. Creating information from data. It's not anything new. We've all been in this industry probably for a fair amount of time. And if not, if we came from other industries, understand that a lot of the time we rely on operational systems to deliver reporting and help us actually in achieving what we need to do in our day-to-day work. But the new systems that are coming out, and the one that has probably impressed me the most recently in the years is Google Lens. Google Lens is an application that takes data from everywhere, and if you haven't used it, it fits on your mobile phone. You can point the camera at a specific object and it will go and find information on whatever that particular subject is and return it to you. And that's the sort of thing that hopefully as we move into the future is what we're looking for from all systems. Next slide, please. So I say a bit of history, hopefully, and I'm saying that because I hope by this stage a lot of you will already have systems that are starting to collect information from all of your operational systems and deliver it to allow you to make decisions as far as your business is concerned. Way back in history, if any of you have been here long enough, you know that night audits were performed during the evening, which was a fairly extensive process. People would work through the night to actually deliver those reports in the morning to the operational heads and whoever else was requiring them. When I first came to this industry, I thought the actual process of night audit was a fantastic way of learning the hotel industry. And that was really fantastic for those people who were coming in, start there, and they could actually see what they needed to do and learn a lot more about how a hotel operates. The department heads were pushing more all the time to get those reports out. And it became a very labour-intensive job. It became something that everybody had to get involved with to deliver this for the morning. And then there was always the questions came back, what ifs? What if we did this? And then, of course, the budgeting process was spreadsheet mayhem, and possibly some of you still suffer that today. And it became very difficult to manage and still does today. Next slide, please. So one of the advances that we saw was that we standardised codes, and especially across hotel chains. They needed to collect information, and therefore the only way to do that is standardise what your if you like, tags are for all of this information. So codes became standardization. We had acronyms that were standardized for different forms of business. And then back in 1926 was when the first uniform system of accounts for hotels was actually released. And sometime down the chain in events, we saw that that was combined with another form of standardisation. And now today we have the Uniform System Accounts for Lodging Industry, USALI as we call it, which forms the basis for accounting systems and allows us again to accumulate information to deliver to people in a format that they can quickly and easily understand rather than trying to work out what it is that they are looking at. Next slide, please. So the system that we're going to show you today, the solution that we have put together, it helps with the budgeting and forecasting, and it helps you therefore to monitor how your actual process is going against what you thought it would, and looking into the future to see where it's going. We have a system that allows for a whole lot of collection of data. We can take it from many different sources, and then we can actually allow for you to look at rolling forecasts. We can do drill down in some cases, depending on where we're getting the data from. And of course, we can view it all online. So the collaboration between people in the business that you're in is able to quickly and easily talk about the problems, talk about what we need to do to rectify and get back on track, if that's the case, or to be looking at the success that we've actually achieved in running the business in a fashion that is far better than what we could do without the information that we are now able to combine and look at. The big thing for the industry at the moment, of course, is labour. The number of people that we can actually employ has become more difficult. It's not just our industry, it's across the board. So when I first came into hospitality, I was always surprised at the answer that I would get when talking about some form of technology was labour was cheap, easy to get, and therefore we don't really need those systems. Today is a different environment. Today we need to be looking at how we can do things far more effectively, efficiently, and the use of technology, of course, is a basis for that to happen. Next slide, please. This is a quote from Kempinski, who used the system that you'll be looking at today. In fact, one of the, if you like, the initial system that we've now probably customized a fair bit for Kempinski. But they save a massive amount of time and work. And of course, time is what we can relate back to labour. And they also have gained from the accuracy and efficiency of the information they're using to formulate decisions and come up with answers to issues or problems that they're looking at. Next slide, please. So out of this system, we can generate standard reporting. So we can do reporting packages that cover the daily results. They don't have to just be from a back office. We can pull information from the front office. We could pull it from revenue management systems. We could pull it from event management systems, from point of sale. All of these sources or operational systems can contribute to deliver what it is that we actually need in making a decision on a particular item, whether it be costs, say it's housekeeping costs. And this is what I suppose the industry has done for a long time, is rely very much on the front office system to supply everything, which of course it can't. It doesn't do some parts of the business. So we need to pull the information from that system, combine it with, for example, the back office system information to deliver a true view of what's going on. Next slide, please. And of course, in today's world, we all love our mobile phones. It's amazing that probably we get up in the morning and the first thing we reach for is a mobile phone, and we'll look at different things that we're interested in, information that we are daily, if you like, looking at. It may be stock market, it may be anything else. But what this system that we're going to show you today also can deliver to those phones, a snapshot, a dashboard, room charts, F&B flash reports, whatever it is that you need to run your business can be delivered basically to a mobile device. It doesn't have to be a phone. Of course, you can have a look at the whole system on an iPad if you wanted to, through a browser. It is something that is available anywhere and at any time to allow you to run your business. Now, I think that's probably my 5 minutes of discussion. And I'm going to hand over now to my friend Mark Vincent from Infor, who can take you in and actually show you what we've done to date with this type of system and what we can produce. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, I'm not going to press play on this slideshow because I just wanted to quickly show you this so you know what we're talking about from a very high level with regards to reporting. So just something visual for us, and that is part of the DEPM toolset is reporting. David's going to cover budgeting, forecasting, planning in just a few moments, but with regards to reporting, DPM sits above your other applications. So this is DPM on the top here, these black boxes and these green boxes up here. And essentially we take data from different data sources. So that could be data from your PMS, from your sales and events solutions, your point of sale solutions, and your finance solutions, and more, of course. And those can either be in the cloud, in your cloud, in other clouds, or on premise. We can take data, we will take data from those systems, we store it into DEPM, and then we run our reports based upon that data. So I just wanted to show you that. So these other solutions, obviously they can be Infor solutions or non-Infor solutions. It's just getting access to that data where then we suck it out of there and then report on it. So now we're in the system, and I'm actually on my developer's server. So I'm connecting directly to that because I've got more data on there. So I'm just going to go through some of the reports on here. But just before we do that, there are some key points just to get across, and that's to do with dimensions and hierarchies. And I have a report here. It's just a revenue dashboard, as you can see. And we're showing some KPIs and obviously some graphics, as you can see on the screen. But I just want to bring your attention to these boxes over here on the left-hand side. Now, these are dimensions. And essentially what we use dimensions for is how we're going to look at our data, how we're going to analyze and be able to drill down through our data. And we're actually going to touch on some of these when we go through, and I'm going to show you now how these work. So my first dimension here, it's a business structure. Okay, we'll look at that in just a few seconds. But this next one down is then a dimension that looks at a particular hierarchy of our business. So obviously we're looking at hotels, and in this hierarchy, global operations, or in this business structure, you can see I've got my properties grouped by geographic region. So I've got Middle East, rest of the world, and Europe on there. So then when I'm looking at this dashboard on my screen, at the minute you can see it's Luxury Park Dubai, and you can see it on here on the hierarchy. If I want to look at the details for a different property, just click on the different property, and the report, whatever you're looking at, will refresh. So it's dynamic. Or go and grab those figures straight away and display them to you. So for the users out there, maybe on this call, and obviously some people are not on the call, a lot of people still do reporting in spreadsheets in Excel. So what this is doing here, it's saving you having multiple workbooks and multiple worksheets in order to look at that data. So there we are, just clicking on another property. Then if we want to look at an amalgamated, a consolidated view, say, for example, the Middle East region, if I click on the Middle East region, then I get these figures will be for all of those properties, those child properties under the Middle East region. It's very straightforward and very easy to understand on here. Let's just put it back to the Luxury Park Dubai just for a second. Okay, so that's one particular structure or business structure. We have more, and you can have multiples of these. There's no limit. Okay, I've got another one here called hotels by operator. So if we just drill onto that for a second and now look at the hierarchy that we're holding beneath here, you'll see this hierarchy is based on property type. So I've got luxury, holiday hotels, and so forth. This could just as easily be brand. It could be some regional managers. Maybe you've got properties split across regions, but just one manager manages those. So you want to be able to report based on manager, or in this case, by brand, by type, and so forth. That's just really limited to your imagination and really how you actually want to report on your properties. And the nice thing about this, we call this parallel hierarchies, because this top one here, Luxury Ocean Resort Hotel, that was under the rest of the world under geographic, but here it has a different parent. It's under luxury hotel. So your children, as in the modern world, can now have more than one parent. So it's just a question of clicking on the property that you want to report on, and then you'll see those figures. So here on the dashboard, we've got KPIs, as I mentioned at the top. Here we're looking at budget figures. If I want to compare it to a different budget version, a different iteration, a different forecast, I can just choose it from here. I'm going to leave it on budget because I think that's where most of my data is. Okay, and then as we can see, the data is represented here in figures. It's financial figures, it's non-financial figures, and then we've got some graphical representation. Let's just put that back there. If we just scroll down, this is my menu. We're not going through all of these, we just simply don't have time, and come down to one of my report sections, because I've got more than one here. Here's another dashboard, finance dashboard. Have just a quick look at that one. Again, different measures that we've got up here. So it's what you and I want to see on a report. So these are just samples, and these are samples that we can give, of course, as well. You can hover over these graphics and it will show you the figures behind those as well. So here we've got F&B revenue broken out by meal period. Here's some room revenue broken out by market group or market segmentation group there. And then we've got some revenue, expenses, and GOP on the right hand side. So dashboards, and we can build as many of those as we wish. Then if we want to go into some more managerial, departmental style reports, I've got some samples here. So rooms revenue. So here we've got it broken out by market group. If we want to go down into individual market code, we can do that as well. And also on the report, we could build in a drill through as well. So hit a little plus sign to drill through on those. And I've just got some, basically these are the same reports here, but just in different styles. So you can get a grasp to how we would make those look for you. F&B, let's have a look at F&B very quickly. And here we are again. We're looking at Luxury Park Hotel Dubai. Okay. Don't forget the dimensions are always here. So if we want to go and look at another one, let's look at the business hotel, for example. Then this will change and reflect the figures based upon that property. So here you can see your outlets increased. There's more outlets with figures for our business hotel than our luxury hotel. And again, broken out by meal period over here and over here as well. Okay, and this is broken out by outlet at the bottom. So let's just put that back to the Park Dubai, and we'll go now on to a daily report. Everyone runs the daily report, so let's have a quick look at that. This one's just slightly different in that we don't use these dimensions. You see on this one, we've actually got the dimensions built on the report. So changing these will change the report. Here's a drill through, for example, rooms revenue. If I hit the little plus sign, of course, it's going to expand. And it's going to show us our rooms revenue by market group, as you can see there. Also on your reports, you can dump them, but dump's the wrong word, export them into Excel or PDF, as you can see there. And again, you can change these. This is a daily report. You want to see it for another day? Change the day. You want a different budget version on here? Let's choose this one, for example. Then this column here will change. The name will change, and naturally the figures will change. So again, you're not running different spreadsheet reports. You're not running a different report. You're just changing what's on the screen to see your figures there. We're doing for time. I'm just going to skip out a couple of. I'll do this one, a daily pickup report. We can go directly to your PMS system and grab data from there. And we'll store that data, then report on that data. So if we want to see our pickup on a daily basis, we can do that, as you can see. As a different style with this one. And depending upon the day you're on, we're on the 8th of May at the moment, so we get the 8th of May at the top, and you can see it's broken down by market group, and you can see your figures going across. But then underneath this, then you'll have all 7 days before the 8th going down. Okay, so here you've got month to date. On the right hand side, you have last year's figures. Some standard, more finance style reports as well, of course, you can have those. So here's this finance main. So pretty standard what you're seeing here. So you've got your month to date, last year, year to date, and last year's year to date figures with some charts as well. Now, if we look at the summary P&L, have a quick look at that one. So again, it's more standard finance reporting reports that you have there. And then we've got USALI reports as well. So if you guys have got USALI reports, at the moment, there's still version 11, edition 11, edition 12. I can't remember if it's come out now, if it's coming out very shortly. We will change the reports to reflect that. So as you'd expect, month to date on this side, year to date on the right hand side, again with your comparisons. So on here, the dimension, we've got a dimension at the top, department. We can then drill down on that. So if we want to just go do F&B as a total, we can do that. If we want to do an individual F&B, we can go and do that for a department that we require. And as you can see, we've got a complete breakdown there of all departments within a property. Okay, right. Now I've gone very quick through there. So that's going to give me time to, as Chris said, everybody looks at reaches for the phone when they wake up in the morning. So this is my phone that you're looking at here. So just to show you this, because we've got mobile reports as well, this is the same as your dimensions, your hierarchies that you saw on the report just a second ago. And then what we can do here, if we go back, these are my mobile reports here. So these are the ones we've got at the moment. It's just a question of clicking on those. And obviously then you'll see the reports. there's a bit of lag between my phone and the desktop, and there we have the report. So it, again, depends upon what figures that you guys want to see, and then the reports can be designed to fit on your phone, even fit on your watch as well. So you can design reports if you've got an Apple Watch to be displayed on an Apple Watch. But then it's just a question, as I say, coming in here, choosing the report and running that report. And then also, as Chris said, the whole system, obviously it's in the cloud, it's browser based, so you can just run it in a browser. Here, what I was doing, I was running this in Internet Explorer actually on here, but most people choose Chrome. You can choose Firefox as well, for example. Now that, actually, I've finished ahead of time. Very, very quick look at reporting. So just to recap, you have as many reports as you wish. What drives these reports are these dimensions. What drives these dimensions is what you want to see on your report, how you want to analyze the data on there, and the styles and types of information reports that you want to see. So it saves you running dozens and dozens of spreadsheets and worksheets and workbooks and so on. So I'm going to leave it there, and we're going to hand over to David, who's going to take you through another part of the tool set, and that is how we budget, how we model, how we enter figures into the system to see results that we're after. David, if you're ready. Sorry, I'm a bit early.
That's right. Thanks, Mark. I'll just share my screen. Okay, someone can just let me know if they can see my screen.
Yes.
Yep, perfect. Okay. Okay, so my product demo, I'm going to focus more on the data entry side, because Mark's done a really good job of giving you a high-level overview of the reporting. So I'm just going to start on this report here. So this is a P&L variance report. I can see at the top here, I've got September selected. I've got a Melbourne hotel selected. It's got a P&L structure down the left, and I can see that underneath the month that I've got two versions. I've got budget versus scenario one. The reason there's a zero variance is because I've just created that scenario just a few minutes ago. I've just copied the budget data into scenario one as my start point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can tweak some drivers in the background, and then come back to this report, and we'll see the net effect on the P&L. So if I start looking down through rooms revenue, look at this lodging account, you can see the 300,375 in scenario one. I'm going to click on that number. That's going to take me to a different screen. So now I'm in a review screen that shows me how the rooms revenue is calculated. So the 300,375, we can see that down here in September. The rows above show me how the number was calculated based on the room utilization and the average room rate. I can see all the months across the page, but now I want to draw a bit more into September, see how that number was made up, what assumptions were made. So click on September. Yeah, it's quite a busy report, it's quite a lot of information. So on the left-hand side here, I can see an estimate for the number of occupied rooms. So these have been split at the moment into online travel agent and direct with a hotel, and we could add in more levels of segmentation as required if needed. So on the left there, I can update these numbers by day. So in the OTA one, I could say, okay, I want to update the 1st of September from 30 to 60. And if you look at the middle section, we'll see the orange number in the middle, the room sold. I'll just change it back so you can see it changed. So if we have 30, it's 1760. When it's 60, it goes up by 30, so 1790. And all the other calculations get updated at the same time. So in the middle there, I've also got anything in yellow is data entry. So I've got total rooms, density, average online travel agent rate, average direct rate. So I can change any of these numbers if I want calculations to change. So I might change the online travel agent rate to 170. And then on the right-hand side, these are more drivers that have been driven by the rooms sold. So I can see if I change this average length stay here, change from 4. You can see the check-ins, daily cleans, end of stay cleans are changing. So I'll change it back to 3. So end of stay cleans is 597. And on the right, I've got a cost associated with that. And if I click on that number, it will show me how it's been calculated. So I'm saying, okay, for 597 end of stay cleans, each one of those is going to take 4 to 5 minutes, convert that into hours, an hourly rate gives me the cost. I'll come back a bit later to show you where that hourly rate and the the 45 minutes have been entered. First of all, I'll stay on this screen and I'll show you how we can add some contextual information. So I've got this button in the middle, add edit events. I can click on here, it's giving me a calendar. So I might say Friday the 15th, I want to add an event. So I might say that's now a public holiday in Melbourne because of the grand final. So grand final, event rights. Put anything I want in here, but I'll just put grand final parade. Then I might say on the 16th, I want to add in that's the actual day of the grand final. So I'll say that's a local event. So I could put conferences in here as well. If I've got a conference in the hotel, I'll just do local event. So in here, I'll pull AFL final. Notes might be we're expecting an interstate team to play. And I'll click save. So I've got 15th and 16th I've entered. Click save. So these are now in my scheduled events in the middle there. They're both the notations stored there. And on the left, those rows have become blue. So I might up the expected people on those days. So I'll put maybe 80 in here. And 70 in here. So I've got utilization up to 95 and 85. Again, I can see the room solved in the middle. That's always updating. So that's 1840 now. I've also got the ability to add a comment at the month level. So I might say we're having a promotion on Wednesday night stays. All that, and then add in here Wednesdays and might say, okay, I'm expecting more people to stay on Wednesdays. And I've got my note. I've always come back to this note, which I'll draw back through to promotion on Wednesday night, see the extra rooms on Wednesdays. And now I can see my rooms sold now has gone up to 1880, 63% occupancy. So now what I do is I go back to the other screen. So remember that 1880. And now in September, I can see the 1880 rooms sold being brought through. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save those values. So at the top, I can see I've got a note saying these changes are not being saved. So I'm going to save those values to the ledger. So now that new value 328,150 will have been written to the ledger. And down the bottom then, I'll go through now to the next stage, which is the food and beverage. So I can see at the top now I've got an outlet's been added in. So I'm just using main restaurants for this example, but I could have any other restaurants in there if we need to. Come through to September. And now that 1880 has been brought through here as well. So the room night sold is now 1880. And then I've got some drivers here for the food and beverage, the occupied room, the capture rate, the associated cost of sales. So I can change these numbers if I wish, or I can change the capture rate. I might say we're having a dinner promotion, so I'm changing that from 50 to 70. Again, I click save to ledger, and now the 70% of the total will be calculated, save to the ledger. Close this. All right, so now I can see these numbers here have all updated to food and beverage. The associated cost of sales down the bottom have also been updated. And now I'll move through to some P&L direct entry. So this is now where I enter data at the GL account level. So I can see I'm in IT here, so I've got accounts related to IT. If I change that to admin, we'll see these are now more admin accounts, accounting, legal, freight, printing, etc. So as I change the department, I'm just seeing the accounts that I should be entering data to. I'll change back to IT. I've got various different options to update these figures. So one option is I can just say I want to increase the values by a set amount. So I might say I want to increase consulting costs by $2,000. Let's update that to 15,200 and flash it across the months. The next one I might want to do is in the hardware. I'll just zero this out so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to zero that out. So it's all zero. I might say I want to copy in values from last year. So copy previous actuals. I haven't got any in that one. So there's no actuals in that one, but I picked the wrong account. So what I can also do then is I can add in an amount again. I can increase by a percentage. So I increase by percentage instead. So I might say I want to increase by 15%. See, that's calculated 13,800. Save that. That gets brought in. The other thing I can do is I can do more detailed capture rather than GL. So I might say software. I know in September I want to add a working note. I know in September I've got, say, 100 licenses, renewal cost of $20 for software 1. Save that. That's now stored in September. And if I click on the information, I can always come back to that note later and see what the number was made up from at a more detailed level. So it's 100 units times 20, sorry, yeah, 100 units times $20 cost. The other thing I can do is I can change the distribution. So I can see here I've got seasonalization across the months for support. Got the option to distribute those instead. So I've just got some very basic ones set up here. You could have your own seasonality in here. So I've got an end of quarter one. I'll click save here. You can see now that number's being distributed into March, June, September, December. So the same value has been written, but the seasonality has been changed, and we can add any seasonality in there that you wish. From there, I can click through to the labor. This is a very basic labor example. At the top, I've got 2 fixed roles. I've got a housekeeping supervisor and a housekeeping manager. I can see their salary. I can see the increase, the new salary, the FTEs across the page. I can see that the housekeeping manager was on part-time. Maybe they're going to come back to full-time, so I can change the FTE here. And as that changes from 0.8 to 1, you'll see down below the total salary for the housekeeping manager is changing. So in October, it's currently 7,399. As I change that, we can see it's now 9,249. Put them in full-time for the rest of the year. If we look into the on costs, so look into the salary, I can see in here I've just got annual leave and super in here currently, which has been calculated from the base salary. If this isn't a real solution, we'd have all the on costs in here. We'd have payroll cover, payroll tax, work cover, etc. Conversely, if I look in one of the data-driven ones, if I look at the attendant rooms, look at the salary in here, I can see this 26638. See, that's been built up from daily cleans and end of stay cleans. So I've got a count, I've got time in minutes converted to hours times the rate, give me the cost, it's getting calculated. Look at the common area cleaners. These ones are calculated more in hours per day rather than rooms. So I've got an hourly rate, hours per day, days in a month gives me the cost of those. Where are those parameter stores? I've edit labor parameters here. The top right section here is where I'm setting what parameters I'm using. So I'm saying the hourly rate is here. I've got $30. Is the hourly rate. I've got for the top one, I'm saying daily cleans. Let's make them 20 minutes. And let's make the end of stay cleans 45 minutes. And for the common areas, I'm saying how many hours per day so I'm saying 8 hours per day to clean the common areas. Go back. Once we've made all the changes in here, we need to click save to ledger again. Okay, then we need to go back to that original report we're on. So go back to the P&L variance. Change this to be scenario 1. Change this to September. Okay, so now quite quickly I can say I'll just change it to Melbourne because that's what we were doing. Right, so I can see the changes we just made is made an extra $92,000 in revenue, but there's an associated expenses to that of almost 24k, which means the net effect is 68.5k. And then if I draw into those accounts, we'll see the accounts that have to expand all here. The accounts that have changed are ones that are related to changes we made. So things like meetings, spa trims, we didn't change any numbers relating to those because we didn't have any drivers to those. So anything that had a driver that's changed, so we can see the The cost of sales for food and beverage here has been increased as well. And then down here, the direct entry we made, the consultants, the IT costs we made. Then that brings me to the end of my part. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and I think Leon's going to take on questions.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. That's great. Thank you to all the speakers. That was really insightful. We do appreciate it. Questions. If you've got any questions, I can see, Stephen, you've got a question there in the chat. We'll go through that. But if you've got any questions, Ryan, if you can unmute the lines. So those who want to raise questions verbally, you can, by all means, shout out. Or if you want to pop some questions in the chat, that's good too. We'll go through all of them. So Dave, the first question is from Stephen Lay. And what Stephen is asking is, he says, "Hi, David. Does the variable labour take into account differences in cost by day of week, i.e. penalty rates on Saturday and Sunday?"
Yeah, we absolutely can build those rules in. That demo I just done there is a quick demo that doesn't have that included, but we can build those in easily, yeah. And anything you currently can do in Excel, we can create the same models in the system.
Yeah, and that's easy to do, right, Dave? Because you've done it. Yeah. You've done it down to the day level anyway. So it's just putting the rules on those for the day. That's great. Okay, we've got Harman. Okay. Any questions from the audience that you'd like to ask? All right. I've got one for the panel. If you could, if you just field this one. So cybersecurity right now, it's increasingly becoming an issue with businesses here in Australia and globally. We see that every day in the media. Just need to turn on the news to see some of the cyber issues that we're encountering now. And honestly, we see it in our client base too. So we see problems that our clients are experiencing with on-premise solutions around cyber risk, and that'll translate to increases in insurance premiums and the like, and increases in cost in business. So I think that the question I've got is around security on the solution. So perhaps you could talk to someone.
I got a call.
Just how secure the solution is, if you could. Who wants to field that one? I came in from the long run, I have to admit, but yeah, just how secure is the solution?
I can probably help there.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, we've seen quite a number of, shall we say, data hacking occurring not just in places like Optus. We've also seen them in Marriott. We've seen them in some of the large hotel groups. The threat is continual, and the news is obviously continually coming out with warnings. So the best I think anybody can do is look at where you store your data. Is the data center got those controls and other checks and balances in place to protect your data as much as possible? So this particular one, in a lot of cases, is actually in a very secure environment. That environment is actually on a daily, if not weekly basis. Actually, they have employed what they call ethical hackers, which go and actually try and get into systems that are contained within those data centers. And they're constantly, if you like, plugging any holes that they would actually find. So the advice that I'd have to give is make sure that where you have your system is in an environment that has all of those things in place to protect that data from the hack.
Yeah, no, that's great, Chris. Thank you. And the Amazon Web Services environment that Infor houses it in is absolutely world's best practice. So yeah, thank you for that. I've got another question, which might be on people's minds. That is, everyone here's probably got different reporting tools that they're currently using and deployed. Why would they look at Infor DPM as an alternate solution to replace what they might have? If anyone looking for compelling business cases, use cases around that, why replace?
I'm going to jump in again. Sorry. But this one I think is it has links back to what I was saying about labour. A lot of companies have gone and spent a lot of money internally building these systems. And one of the problems that I imagine a lot of them are starting to, if you like, come under is the fact that the labour is starting to leave them, go other places, take the knowledge, and then they've got an internal system that they're trying to manage and trying to actually get a hold on. Because a lot of the time it's probably one or two people within a group that are doing this for them, and probably in a limited way in relation to one particular part of the business. By outsourcing it, I think you are reducing that risk of ending up with a system that's probably not being worked as well as it should be. It would be my take on it.
Yeah, so you identified there key person risk, didn't you? The key person risk associated with running spreadsheets in a finance department. We've all seen it when the person leaves. Out walks the, for want of a better expression, the IP, the knowledge of that. So, yeah, centralising. The EPM's got auditable. It's all auditable. It's all centralised. Nothing resides on the desktop. It's all centrally. And so it replaces that dark data. It replaces the dark data on desktops and turns that information back into centralised organisational information. All right, cool. Thanks, Chris. Audience, anything else that you'd like to ask the crew? I might ask another one there. So I've got another one there. What we're looking at this for the first time. We've seen a lot of solutions deployed. They're all in the one system, whether it be part of the forecasting area of the solution or the reporting area of the solution. So I guess what we'd like to know as finance people is just the cost of deploying such a solution. Is there anything that you can share with regard to how expensive a solution like this might be? Anyone want to field that one?
I'll say something just to fill the void. I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's just so what we're talking about is it's more of a use case type thing. Is that what we're talking about here? So
absolutely, yes. Yeah, it depends on what a potential user requires from the system, because there are different elements to it. There is the report. Some people just purely want reporting, so then we'll look at that. And then with regards to what David showed and what I showed, what we both showed is pre-built content, and they can be used as templates. And what they can do for potential customers is two things: one, bring down the cost, the end cost for the user, and secondly, to speed up the process as well. So you're up and running with the system quicker because you can use the template to give you that boost to get there. But with regards to costs, I don't deal with costs, fortunately. That's something that people will sit down and discuss all the different elements and then come up with a cost after that.
Fair enough. No, that totally makes sense. How long is the string? Oh, sorry, Chris, did you want to say something?
Yeah, look, I think that there are different ways of approaching this particular type of solution. For some people, it can be as easy as just accepting what's already there, because in some instances, businesses are not, shall we say, at the stage in their development of being able to create something that is theirs, so they can take a standard type view of the templates that Mark just made. But then there's other people who, and other companies, and we've dealt with them. There was a group in Indonesia, Araduta, we dealt with that wanted this type of solution. They went a long way into creating something that was definitely their own IP, and decided to take that as their standard. So it depends on the size of the group, the amount of investment they can make, as Mark said, or just trying to get to a point where you are actually getting the same sort of information as some of the large groups from taking a standard templates that we will have already knowledge of and be able to show you as far as those dimensions as what Mark was showing you that define what you're seeing in a report.
Yeah, that's cool. So that seeing the dimensionality is key, isn't it? So the dimensionality governs what people can see. It's all one central solution looking at the same data set. You're just cutting it different ways and allocating the permissions, if you like, to a certain data set, which is very different to Excel. Once you put an Excel template, attach it to an email and send it out to the world, anyone can view it. So yeah, the dimensionality is as you and Mark and Dave have all said, is really important. So yeah,
there's
thank you.
one other thing, Leon, that I have to add.
Yeah.
We've seen and talked about the basis for the financial part of the system being USALI, a standard.
Yeah.
One of the things that the industry has partly gone to is also codes for a whole lot of different things. FIT, for example, Free Inbound Traveller, is a well-known acronym for a particular type of revenue. By standardizing codes throughout the industry, not just at the financial base, but through the organizations, we again are being able to partly solve in the future the issue of labor. If people are leaving and they come in and they've come from somewhere else where they used a different standard of coding, it becomes a problem. They've got to relearn. But if we can get a standardization within organizations that then flows through, and that's what can happen with these sorts of systems we're talking about today, things become far easier as far as people understanding the information that's coming out of these systems rather than trying to understand the data that's producing it.
Very true. That's very true. Standardization. Yeah. Audience, is there anything else that you'd like to cover off, understand here in the session today? You're welcome to send us notes, emails, queries on the website. But if there's anything else you'd like to know, yeah, feel free to put your hand up. Okay, I think we're done. Look, thanks to everyone for coming. To our speakers today, thank you. Thanks heaps to David, to Chris, to Mark for preparing for today and for delivering the sessions. Thanks heaps for coming along. I hope you have a great Friday. Hope you have a great weekend as well. So everyone, yeah, have a good one. We'll catch you later. Cheers.